This is cause number 326772. The case is style of State of Texas versus Andre Dominique Rivers. Mr. Rivers, would you please come forward? Mr. Rivers, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Rivers, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
You may put your hand down. How you doing, Mr. Rivers?
Good. What about you?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking. Mr. Rivers, the information in this case alleges that on or about January 1st of 2020, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, that you committed the Class A misdemeanor offense of evading arrest detention. Mr. Rivers, do you understand what you've been charged with?
Yes, sir.
And to this charge, Mr. Rivers, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, and no contest?
No contest.
Now, you pleading no contest freely and voluntarily? Are you pleading no contest freely and voluntarily?
What you mean by that?
Is anybody forcing you to plead no
Oh,
contest?
sir.
So you're pleading
Yes, sir.
freely and voluntarily. Now, Mr. Rivers, are you pleading no contest because you do not wish to fight or contest the charges?
Not to fight or contest the charge.
Okay. Now, Mr. Rivers, I have before me a couple of documents. First document is titled Judge's Explanation of Defendants Without Attorney. Mr. Rivers, do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Rivers, is this your signature on the line that's titled defendant?
Yes, sir.
And you checked, now, Mr. Rivers, let's see, you're supposed to put your initials on the line that stated, I do not want, well, I want to waive my right to an attorney and represent myself. Could you place your initials on this document, Mr. Rivers? Okay. And Mr. Rivers, are these your initials on this document?
Yes, sir.
And on the next document, which is titled Waiver of Counsel for Purposes of Entering a Guilty Plea or Proceeding to Trial, Mr. Rivers, do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is this your signature on the line that says defendant?
Yes, sir.
Now, Mr. Rivers, I also have before me a document that is titled the misdemeanor plea admonishment. It's also labeled as State's Exhibit Number 1. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And on page 2 of the same document, are these your initials on the line that's titled Nolo Contendere, which means no contest?
Yes, sir.
And at the bottom of this document, Mr. Rivers, there are another set of initials. Are these your initials on this document as well?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And this, your initials is on the line that states, I do not request discovery of the evidence. I waive my right to request discovery of the, in this case, and choose to enter a plea of guilty or no contest. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, on page 3 of this document, Mr. Rivers, there's a signature above the line that's titled defendant.
Yes,
Is that your signature?
yes, sir.
Now, Mr. Rivers, are you a U.S. citizen?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, let's see. And Mr. Rivers, in this document, State's Exhibit Number 1, you are waiving your right to have a trial by jury. Is that correct? In essence, you don't want to have a trial by jury. Is that correct? You just want your case to come before the judge.
Yeah.
And you've already said you waived your right, and there, you also waiving your right to have witnesses to come to court to testify in your case. Is that correct? You have to speak up.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Also, Mr. Rivers, this case is classified as a Class A misdemeanor. The range of punishment is confinement that does not exceed a year in jail, and a fine that does not exceed $4,000, or you could be given both such fine and confinement. Do you understand the range of punishment for Class A misdemeanor? You have to speak up.
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, Mr. Rivers, I also have before me a document that is titled the Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Right of Appeal. Mr. Rivers, do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
Is that your signature on the line that says defendant?
Yes, sir.
Now, Mr. Rivers, there are two boxes that's checked at the top of this document. The first box states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
The second box states that you're waiving your right to appeal, which means you're giving up your right to appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now, Mr. Rivers, let me do this. All of these documents that we just went over, did you have an opportunity to read the documents?
Yes, sir.
And did you read the documents?
Yes, sir.
And did you understand what you read?
Yes, sir.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
State, I have before me State's Exhibit number 1. State, you like to offer State's Exhibit number 1, the misdemeanor plea admonishment?
Yes, Your Honor, and the state would also offer State's Exhibit number 2, the probable cause affidavit.
Okay, now, Mr. Rivers, the state is offering State's Exhibit number 1 and State's Exhibit number 2 to be used as evidence against you. Now, State's Exhibit number 1 is the document here that has Class A misdemeanor. It also have your initials on page 2,
Yes, sir.
and it also have your signature on page 3.
Yes, sir.
The state would like to use this document as evidence against you in this case. Is it all right for the state to use this document as evidence against you in your case?
Yes, sir.
Okay, no objection. State's Exhibit number 1 is admitted now. The State's Exhibit number 2, Mr. Rivers, is what we call a probable cause affidavit, commonly referred to as the police report. The state would like to use this document as evidence against you in your case as well. Is it all right for the state to use this document as evidence in your case?
Yes, sir.
Okay, no objection. State's Exhibit number 1 and 2 are admitted. Mr. Rivers, is there any evidence that you are currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No, sir.
Okay, Mr. Rivers, I will accept your plea of no contest. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea of no contest and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
Yes, sir.
And what is that agreement?
The 1 year deferred adjudicated probation.
When you deferred?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
A $700 fine
700 fine,
plus court costs
okay,
and 40 hours community service.
40 hours community service. Okay, Mr. Rivers, the state is offering that you serve 1 year deferred adjudicated probation on this case. And the state is, during the 1 year probationary period, you'll be required to pay a fine of $700 plus court costs of $337. Now, the total fine and court costs that you would have to pay over the 1 year period of probation is $1,037. You'll also be required to pay a probation fee of $60 each month, a urinalysis fee of $15 each month. Your total monthly installments that you would have to pay for this probation is $170 each month. Would you be able to pay the $170 each month?
Yes, sir.
You will also be required to perform 40 hours of community service and adhere to the other standard terms and conditions of your probation. Mr. Rivers, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
Do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just?
Yes, sir.
And do you accept the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Rivers, I'll follow the plea bargain agreement that you have entered into with the state. Mr. Rivers, if you successfully complete your probationary period of 1 year, this case will be dismissed. It will not appear on your record as a conviction, and you may qualify for a non-disclosure. You can talk to an attorney if you desire to about the non-disclosure. Okay. Mr. Rivers, please stand on the X in front of the court clerk, once you finish following her directions, you'll be free to go, and you have a blessed day.
Yes, sir, you too.
Sign for me, you won't see it, but I will. Raise your right hand for me. Do you swear you've never been convicted or given deferred adjudication or record probation for a misdemeanor or felony in this or any other state?
Sure.
Do you have any other pending charges against you?
Not sure, I know, to be honest, it's my first time in the court.
Okay. Once you leave here, you are to report to probation. There's the map how to get there. Once you get in the parking lot, they want you to call, so they can let you know what time to come back.
So
Okay?
I come in today?
Yes, you have to report today.
What, so I gotta,
That's our new assistant judge, Mr. Blake. Can you?
Here you go.
Brittany Pond,
I'm gonna be waiting on you outside, you see. Lunch on me, I'll buy it.
on the record in cause number 329778, case is styled State of Texas versus Brittany M. Pond. Ms. Pond, would you please raise your right hand? Ms. Pond, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
Yes, sir.
You may put your hand down. How are you doing, Ms. Pond?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking. Ms. Pond, the information in this case alleges that on or about March 22nd of 2021, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, that you committed the Class B misdemeanor offense of possession of a controlled substance penalty group 2A. Ms. Pond, do you understand what you've been charged with?
Yes, sir.
And to this charge, Ms. Pond, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
No contest.
Now, are you pleading no contest freely and voluntarily?
Freely.
And are you pleading no contest because you do not wish to fight or contest the charges?
Yeah, I don't want to fight it.
Okay. Ms. Pond, I have before me a document that is titled the misdemeanor plea admonishment. It is also labeled as State's Exhibit Number 1. Ms. Pond, do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And on page 2 of the same document, there are 2 sets of initials. Are these your initials
Yes, sir.
on this document?
Yes, sir.
Now, Ms. Pond, are you a U.S. citizen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now, Ms. Pond, in this document, it states that this is a Class B misdemeanor, and the range of punishment for a Class B misdemeanor is confinement in jail for a term not to exceed 180 days, a fine not to exceed $2,000, or you could be given both such fine and confinement. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Now, you understand also that you had a right to have a jury trial. However, you have waived or given up your right to have a jury trial. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
You also have a right to have witnesses to come to court testify for you against you. You have waived your right to have witnesses to come to court as well.
Yes, sir.
And in this document, it also states that you do not request discovery of the evidence, and you waive your right to request discovery in this case and choose to enter a plea of guilty or no contest. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, on page 3 of this document, Ms. Ponder, is that your signature above the line of status
Yes, sir.
defendant? On page, well, the next document, which is the trial court certification, defendant's right of appeal, do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
Is that your signature on the line that's
Yes,
titled
sir.
defendant? There are 2 boxes that's checked at the top of this document. The first, the box states that this is a plea bargaining case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
And the second box states that you're waiving your right to appeal, which means you're giving up your right to appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Now, Ms. Pond, I also have before me judge's explanation of rights to defendants without an attorney. Ms. Pond, do you recognize this document?
Yeah. Sorry, I have court wise. Oh, yes, sir, I do.
And is that your signature on this document?
Yes, sir.
And are these your initials on this document?
Yes, sir.
And the initials is on a line that says, I want to waive my right to attorney and represent myself. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, I also have a document that is titled Waiver of Counsel for Purposes of Entering a Guilty Plea or Proceeding to Trial. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
Now, is that your signature on this document?
Yes, sir.
Now, Ms. Pond, prior to signing and initialing all of these documents, did you have an opportunity to read the documents?
Yes, sir.
And did you read the documents?
Yes, sir.
Did you understand what you read?
Yes, sir.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
State, I have before me State's Exhibit number 1, the misdemeanor plea admonishment. You like to offer State's Exhibit 1?
Yes, Your Honor, and the state would also offer State's Exhibit number 2, probable cause affidavit.
Okay, now, Ms. Pond, the state is offering State's Exhibit number 1 to be used as evidence against you in this case. State's Exhibit number 1 is the document that's the misdemeanor plea admonishment, and on page 2 of this document, Ms. Pond, you acknowledge that these were your initials, and on page 3 of this document, you acknowledge that this was your signature. Now, the state would like to use this document as evidence against you in this case. Is it all right for the state to use this document as evidence against you in your case? Also, I have before me State's Exhibit number 2, the probable cause affidavit. We commonly refer to it as the police report. The state would like to use this document as evidence against you in your case as well. Is it all right for the state to use this document as evidence in your case as well? Okay. No objection. State's Exhibit number 1 and 2 are admitted. Ms. Pond, is there any evidence that you are currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Ms. Pond, I will accept your plea of no contest. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea of no contest and waivers were freely and voluntarily given, and I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
Yes, Your Honor.
What is that agreement?
It's a 1-year deferred adjudicated probation,
Okay,
$700 fine,
okay,
40 hours community service,
okay.
and a drug and alcohol assessment.
Alcohol assessment, okay. Ms. Pond, the state is offering that you serve 1 year deferred adjudicated probation. During this 1 year probationary period, you'll be required to pay a fine of $700 plus court costs of $292. The total fine and court costs comes to $992. You also be required to pay probation fee of $60 each month, your analysis fee of $15 each month, and your total monthly installments that you'll be required to pay is $165. Ms. Pond, would you be able to pay the $165 each month?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Ms. Pond, you will also be required to perform 40 hours of community service and adhere to the other standard terms of conditions of probation. And you'll be required to submit to an alcohol and drug.
I have a
You
question about
you
that.
said assessment? I see screening here, but you said an assessment, right?
Yes, Your Honor. But
You would have to put that in there?
Yeah,
Okay,
well, if they're already doing a screening on it, then
yeah, that's automatic.
okay.
Okay.
So it'll be the drug and alcohol screening.
Yes, Your Honor.
And Ms. Pond, you will also be required to adhere to the other standard terms and conditions of probation. Now, Ms. Pond, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
Do you think that the
Well,
state's,
I don't understand the alcohol and drug screening. What's that?
well, they'll tell you at the
Okay.
probation office, but it's a screening that you'll have to go through. I think everyone on probation goes through that screening.
Okay.
Okay, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes,
Do you think that the state's offer in this case is fair and just?
Yes, sir.
Do you accept the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Ms. Pond, I will follow the plea bargain agreement that you've entered into with the state. Ms. Pond, please stand on the X next to you, and then you're gonna follow the directions of our court clerk. Once you finish following her directions, you'll be free to go, and you have a blessed day.
Yes, sir. Thank you.